talking about midwives and doulas and all of that. So I did have a midwife, right here, and so questions I got throughout the pregnancy. I know that you've gone 1,000 times just by me alone. So, when you're thinking about having a midwife, I strongly recommend it and everything. Even a doula, because they're one and the same, goes midwife and doula. If I'm correct, right?
Yeah, they work together a lot.
So, I definitely recommend it 100%. I'm definitely with the next pregnancy. She'll be there too. So, what exactly is a midwife?
Okay, so a midwife is... So I'm a student midwife. I'm working to become a certified midwife. And so don't take my word as gospel because I'm still learning. But we are, I guess, the closest thing I can relate it to is like an OB, but we're a lot more natural. So midwives are great for low risk pregnancies. It's actually been proven that midwives have better outcomes for low risk women than OBs do. A lot of midwives do out of hospital births at either they'll do home births or at a birth center. Some midwives do work in the hospital. That'll be a certified nurse midwife. I'm working to become a certified professional midwife. So I won't be able to work in the hospital, but home birth and birth centers will be super cool. It really depends on where you are. Here in Texas, midwives have always been legal. We have access to certain medications, and we're qualified to do IVs and stuff like that, so we can handle women with gestational diabetes and certain complications, but in other places, in other states, midwives are illegal or have different restrictions than Texas does. So Texas is actually a pretty good place to be if you want a midwife, especially the Austin area. We are swarming with midwives.
Yes. So, and you kind of briefly touched on it. Do they take place of doctors? Yes. So if you're having a home birth or birthing in a birth center, then yes, your doctor will be your midwife. They will do all your testing or your doctor's visits. So they'll be the ones checking your blood pressure, checking the sugars and everything in your urine. They'll be palpating your belly to see where baby is, checking the heart rate, that kind of thing. And the good thing about midwives is that they're who you see throughout your entire pregnancy, and they're the ones that's going to deliver your baby. So there's not going to be a question of who's the on-call doctor. You may or may not get your doctor depending on what day it is. You get to form this connection with this person, and they're going to be the ones that help you through labor and delivery. Gotcha. I've got a lot of things. Aren't they completely against medical intervention, all cost?
No, because sometimes it is necessary. They do have certain pain medications that can help. I'm actually not 100% exactly which ones, but we do have access to certain pain medications, but they can't do epidurals. So typically people who want a more natural birth will use a midwife. In the instance of complications, they transfer to a hospital. So if there is a cord prolapse, if there's shoulder dystocia that they can't figure out, if there's a postpartum hemorrhage, if the baby's having trouble breathing, if something's wrong with the mom at all, they will very quickly transfer to the hospital so that she can have the care and intervention that she needs. Sometimes they transfer just because labor's been long and hard and mom's exhausted and needs fluids and just needs to rest. So no, not against intervention at all, because sometimes it's necessary.
So you did touch on this, but I got the comment all the time, well, aren't midwives only for home births, or if you want to go through like a very painful natural birth? And
from my experience, no, because you went with me to my doctor's and you were there at the hospital with me, and I sure as heck did not have a natural, well, not my choice, to go around. You know, I did not do a home birth.
So I would have, I was more of a doula for you. And a doula is a support person to help mom advocate for herself. And it's important that each birthing person has someone like that to help them have the birth that they want. Because a lot of times women will, it's an emotional time in labor, and sometimes they can be easily persuaded to do something that they don't want to do because they feel like they don't have a choice, or they feel like they can't ask questions. And that's where a doula steps in. They can say, hey, did you fully understand this procedure? Do you have any other questions about it? Kind of opening the door for mom to ask questions if they do have them, to weigh the pros and cons, and then to also be both a physical and emotional support for mom and partner, helping with different positions, just giving that extra support to know that mom's not alone in her journey.
Yeah, and I know for you, because I was high risk, you would have also been able to translate doctor language, especially because I was a high risk pregnancy. I wasn't one of the normal ones you would have taken on.
Yeah.
So, and I know that you were kind of our translator for a lot of things. And like when Aiden, when we were in the labor process, you did come and you were reading the contraction thing. Like, did you feel that? No, Mom. What tools do midwives or doula use when you're going either for documents or you're about to go into labor? What tools do you have access to?
That's a great question. I'm not, as far as the midwife goes, I'm not 100%. We, there will be different, they can do ROGAM, and stuff like that. For, I guess, intervention-wise, we don't really have anything. We have, a handheld Doppler to check and monitor baby. We'll be able to check blood pressure, so we'll have the cuff and everything. Excuse me, and stethoscope, all that jazz, and then maybe a rebozo, which doulas can use too, which is basically just a long piece of fabric that we can help use to help maybe manipulate the pelvis a little bit, to get mom in more comfortable positions and help baby really move down to the birth canal. Some have birthing stools. So mom can kind of squat and birth a little easier.
I remember when we were trying to get the progression of Aiden, you had mentioned the peanut ball.
Yes, there are different balls. There's the big birthing ball you can sit on to kind of maneuver, help get baby into the birth canal. If you're wanting to rest, peanut balls are great because it helps keep the birth canal open so baby can still progress while you're sleeping or resting. Sorry.
And the crazy thing is it actually worked because shortly after you left, I actually went into labor.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need this hurting me just because of the way my hips were. And then baby started coming. We're like, wait, and she had already left. It's like, oh no. So when I know that you've seen, I don't know if you've assisted yet in deliveries.
No, not yet.
But you've seen some. What is one of the hardest things you've experienced so far, and what is one of the most rewarding things?
So I'm super green. I've seen very few. I've watched a million videos, but it definitely doesn't even do justice to actually being there. The hard part is just you can't take the pain. You can't do it for them. And it's just helping them understand their power. And I think that's the hardest and most rewarding part, because when you see someone who realizes this strength that they have, it's their birth, the birth of them becoming a mom, and it's this beautiful thing just seeing this person come alive, to bring their baby into the world.
So you have 3 little girls.
Yes.
Who are super adorable, And one, you had medical intervention, meaning you had epidural,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. The other two were your naturals.
Mm-hmm.
So what differences did you see between the two? I know you and I have discussed it, but you know, for people who are even contemplating even a natural birth, which Lord knows I will never contemplate, and I am just not that strong of a woman.
So with my first birth, I did have the epidural. I laid in the bed the whole time. I really wanted to have a natural birth, but I was uneducated about the process of labor and everything that would entail. I was throwing up because my daughter was face up, so it was causing really bad back labor, and I didn't even realize that throwing up can be a natural part of labor. So I was just like, I'm done. So I got the epidural, and I was only in labor about 8 hours, which is great for a first birth. And when comparing it to my second birth, which was fast and furious, but all natural, my healing time was a lot better. Mm-hmm. Even my husband noticed that I was much more alert after having her than I was with epidural. I was kind of groggy. You know, I definitely couldn't get up and walk around. Mm-hmm. I got up as soon as I could after having my second because I didn't want to be in the bed and I wanted to shower. But I had to wait after my first because I was waiting for the epidural to wear off. My third was my most empowering birth. I was totally in control. It wasn't as fast as my second, and it was natural, and it was just beautiful. And I personally got a bigger sense of reward, and I just felt like my recovery was easier. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I could get up and walk around, and just physical recovery from birth was a lot easier naturally than it was with epidural.
I did notice that you noticed that my epidural was not working correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have to say that it did help me when I could feel everything. Even though that ring of fire really is a ring of fire, especially when it's butt first with the kid. But I also didn't tear, and I healed fairly quickly as well. So that I did notice knowing that I could control it, because I mean, obviously I could feel it, and I felt when Aiden was coming in. Of course, you weren't in the room, but everyone else could witness, I need too much! So, and I was able, and the doctor was like, okay, do it. I was like, okay. Screaming the whole nine yards and everything. But which, once again, I'll never do again. So more power to you because you've done it twice. But, and then last thing, once the baby is born, people just think that you're done, that you don't, that, you know, midwives and doulas, you're not needed anymore.
No, midwives, we try and do longer and more often prenatal visits. Typically, a typical midwife's prenatal visit is, I think, an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, whereas an OB is typically 15 to 20 minutes. And postpartum, after having the baby, clients can typically go home a lot faster within 8 hours of birth, as long as there's no complications. And we'll do the newborn exam, make sure they're all good, but we do a 2-day postpartum visit, and then I think 4 and 6 weeks, I believe. I could be wrong there. But we do more postpartum visits than an OB would, because you just, once you're discharged, you see them 6 weeks. So they really try to bridge that gap with making sure that mom is taken care of and that she has support. And doulas do as well. They typically do 2 postpartum visits. They'll stay about an hour after birth and then come visit several days after birth and then a few weeks after birth to make sure that mom has resources about breastfeeding or any issues that they may be having with sleeping or feeding. And yeah, just to really make sure they have resources and support. So
they also help if moms choose to breastfeed. They also help in that lactation consultant kind of part if needed.
A lot of doulas bonus as a or double as an IBCLC, which is a certified lactation consultant, and can help, or they have resources to give mom about reaching out to a lactation consultant. And a lot of midwives will partner with lactation consultants as well, so they have someone on staff to help answer those questions and help with those complications.
Yeah, and doctors don't really do that, you know.
They do have
nurses do, but
yeah, nurses do, and they do typically have a lactation consultant on staff, but you may see them once because they're seeing a bunch of people, so you don't get quite as much one-on-one time.
Gotcha. What requirements for people looking to go down the same career path as you? What are the requirements, as in before you work a certified midwife? As in, like, delivery-wise, how many do you have to watch, how many do they have to witness or help in, and how many do you have to do by themselves?
So it's a self-paced process. The school that I go to is the Midwives College of Utah. In Texas has their own program as well called the Association for Texas Midwives, and they have their own schooling. Which is a little different. They do it in modules, where you'll get module 1, you'll complete it, turn it in, and then you'll get module 2, that kind of thing. Mine, I have 7 years to complete my program, but I can do it in as little as 3.5 if I really try, and along with coursework, which is, I'm getting a bachelor's in the science of midwifery, so I'm taking medical terminology, anatomy and physiology of obstetrics, IV skills. I'll be taking genetics, neonatology, embryology, and I can't say that word. But it's pretty in depth. You have 3 phases. So phase 1 is the observed phase, and you have to have 10 observed births, and then you'll take phase 1 competencies and have like a phase 1 assessment before you can move on to phase 2. Phase 2 is the assist phase, where you have to have 20 assists, I believe. And then you'll do phase 2 competencies and all that, and take your phase 2 assessment, and then you'll be phase 3. Phase 3 is primary under supervision. So you are the acting midwife being supervised by a certified midwife. And you'll have, so you'll basically do everything. You'll do the prenatals, the postpartum, the everything in labor, delivery. You'll do the newborn exam, all that. So I think there's more too. I'm not catching everything, but I know your primaries, I believe you have to have 25 primary births. I don't think that's right. I'm missing some what's the word I'm looking for? I'm missing something in there, but that's the basic gist, yeah.
And then for anyone who's thinking about going to being a midwife or even a doula or anything like that, what's the best words of advice you can actually give them?
So before becoming a midwife, I would definitely suggest being a doula first. A doula, typically you'll just take a doula training. I took a training through DONA, which is DONA International, is, I think, the best known doula certification organization. And they'll teach you how to support mom and just give you some really good tools and resources. And that will allow you to really see births and kind of being on call, taking clients at your own pace and seeing if that's something that you can really do. I think it'd be great for people to observe at least 10 births before even trying to become a midwife, because sometimes you can go to your first birth and be like, this is not for me. And at least that way, you haven't fully jumped in. Because it is emotional. It takes from you. But it's also really rewarding. Because sometimes you're not home for several days because someone's been in labor for 48 hours. And, so it's a lot of time away from your family. So definitely weigh those pros and cons for yourself.
Yeah, I noticed that you were kind of living at the hospital with me when I was in there, because I was in there for almost a week. or
Yeah, I
something.
think Monday to Thursday. So
Yeah, almost a week. And you were there, like, you know, and you came up immediately.
Yeah, as soon as I saw your message, I was there.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm here.
So, that's all I have. You know, if you want to add any words or anything like that, because, you know, I thought I'd do this video just kind of a little bit.
Yeah, it's such a rewarding experience. Like I said, I'm so new, so I haven't even really begun to dive into everything. There's ladies I go to school with that are just, they share their experiences and it's just mind-blowing, and I'm really excited to be able to get to that point. But it's so rewarding, and it's tiring, and it's hard sometimes, but definitely worth it. And like I said, I am not a certified midwife, so not all my information is accurate, most likely. So don't take it as gospel, but definitely research it, because midwives and doulas change lives. They really do.
And some of them become really close friends. So, alright. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we'll see you in our next video. Bye.